Hi.
Hi. So, oh, sorry, the bird wanted to have the first say there. So today we're going to talk about something. It comes from this idea of imago, which I'll just kind of give a really basic explanation of. So there's imago theory in therapy, and it's this idea that when there's unmet needs or traumas, when you're a child, very often you'll bring it into your adult relationships and kind of perpetuate these scenarios. So to keep it simple, let's say my mother did certain things to me that traumatized me, or I didn't feel heard, or I felt abandoned, or she withheld love, or whatever. I'll likely seek out a partner who's going to be exactly like that, and they're going to bring it up. I'm going to get triggered, and that's going to bring up an opportunity to heal it again. But it also, in short, is this idea that you're going to attract the person who's most going to annoy the living hell out of you as a partner.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Mike and I realized many years ago that we were doing this to each other or for each other, bringing the opportunity to heal some stuff from our childhood, triggering each other, reminding us of spaces that felt familiar, not necessarily in like a nice, loving way, but familiar in also like unsafe, unloving ways. I recently had like a breakthrough in something that I had been feeling for many years and couldn't really like put my finger on it. And I realized that one of the reasons why I chose Mike is because I wanted to feel little. I wanted to feel protected. I wanted to feel a shield from the world because I was so scared. And I was so scared of confrontation, boundaries, the rejection that could come from those boundaries, because I was taught to not have any. And just maybe obey even. You know, like maybe I chose you because I wanted you to be a dad in a way. And I just wanted to do what you told me to do because it just felt easier than putting myself out there and feeling failure or feeling disapproved. But of course, that's incompatible with an adult, healthy life, you know, where you have a voice and you have your opinions and your wants and your needs. And it's taken me many years to realize that I prefer the discomfort of the boundaries, the rejection, relationships ending, feeling failure, feeling pressure, feeling self-discipline, which I just learned is a manifestation of self-care, actually, as opposed to continue with this like obedience regime. So that's one thing that's really recent for me and that I have so clear. That's like not a very, but like one of the reasons why I married you that isn't like a high path, a high reason, you know, like an elevated, a healed reason.
Okay. I think you're in like two lanes at the same time, but I think it's kind of all the same thing. Okay, for me, I think I have certain belief systems that I developed through crap experiences when I was little about what the world is. And unfortunately, I think I perpetuate them. And I think in this particular relationship, I think I've brought in this notion that the world isn't safe, that people aren't reliable, that my partner wouldn't be reliable or safe or trustworthy. And so I think on some level, wanting to kind of there's this idea that our nervous system will choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven, and that we're literally designed to like perpetuate these kind of normalities of what we're used to, even if they were trauma. So for me, I think it's the idea of a spouse who's going to withhold love or use that as a tool or be less available emotionally, because that's the kind of pain I grew up with. So like, not surprisingly, I guess, if we're looking at it in this lens, that's something that's come up significantly in our relationship, you know, and like you said the other day, I may have married my mother and I don't like my mother in my bedroom or in my personal life very much, you know, and I think you've had a similar experience. And I think, I don't think it, like what you made this comment about, the not so high path, and I think it actually is the high path. I just think it's not the good feeling path. I think it's specifically drawing something to heal it. So it's brought in and I'm triggered and it's brought to the surface for me to heal it, for better or for worse. So a lot of what you represent in my life is a continuance of really shitty patterns that I brought into our relationship and that I've kind of enrolled you into, and you've easily fit because you like kind of fit the character profile for someone who could easily take on that role, and vice versa, you know. So like the way we have conflict and my lack of respect for your boundaries, or the fact that I grew up in a house where boundaries were like, you know, achieved through screaming and cursing and what have you, is like your kryptonite. So it's like, for me, I look at it, I'm like, of course we attract to each other, you know. Now how we work through it and where we get to on the other side, that's the real challenge, you know. Now on the other side of this, in theory, we both have both sets of skills, right, and we're stronger, but it's also a matter of learning what's happening here, what is your pain in a conflict, what's my pain in a conflict, what am I bullshitting myself saying that is you, that's actually me that I was bringing in. So even like, okay, so even like these patterns that I brought in and I've enrolled you, even though you may fit, they're still my patterns. You know, you may fit a role and play out a role, but it's my pattern. So it's still mine to heal. So once I heal it, I no longer continue to enroll you. So either you let it go or we have a problem, right? Like we're incompatible, right? But I think what usually happens is you both partners are able to let go of this baggage and no longer kind of be these bullshitty roles that aren't them anyways, that's just perpetuating a pain cycle.
Something that's come up for me in these couple of, I don't know, I mean yesterday in particular, but also throughout time, I can't precise when, it's been the notion that I deserve to be punished.
Oh God.
When I make a mistake, I was like in my cell memory, it made sense, and I was waiting for your anger, withdrawal of love, and punishment or scolding. How did you do this? This is so stupid. Get out of the car and do it again, or get something, or, you know, like a consequence, a negative consequence for my bad behavior.
And I'm your disciplinary.
That's right. You're my parental figure in this story. And I'm bringing this along to the journey because of what you just said. Like when you heal something and then what's on the other side. So when I've been having these realizations that you actually don't need to be my dad, and I actually don't need to be scolded, and I'm actually a grown-up, and you no longer need to be my shield from the world. You no longer need to protect me.
And you no longer need to be my angry mother.
Wait, so in that scenario, when I feel like I make a mistake and I feel punished or scolded, then already just by having had that realization, I feel more calm within, and like it's almost like in my brain, the image that I have of myself has grown up just like that. And I'm not like the Sarah little kid, I'm the grown-up Sarah. And then all of a sudden my husband's scolding me and I'm like, I don't need this. Thank you. I'm good.
You don't get the feeling sometimes we're like kind of paid actors that were hired by each other?
I wish I felt that. No.
Yeah, well, we're paid by like the good stuff, but we're also like, we've been hired to be these roles that don't serve us, that don't fit us, until the other person heals.
In my mind, the way that I see it, the way that I'm processing this is I'm just becoming safe. Mm-hmm. I come from a background of starvation of love and approval. And I've chased that on the outside for decades. And now for me, it's a journey of, I need love. I can give it to myself. I need approval. I can give it to myself. I want to feel like an empowered woman. I can step into my power. And by no means it's easy. Sometimes I'm scared of you and your disapproval and a potential scolding. But then I can also navigate that conflict, which I didn't know how to do because I was petrified that I would be rejected or abandoned. And now, in the worst case scenario, if you want to reject me or abandon me, at least I know I'm being authentic and I'm coming from my truest place. So I'm like, if he really doesn't want me, then I can deal with that, as opposed to being with you faking something. That's what it feels like for me. Just becoming a safe, both for me and for you, because I've done horrible things for you. There's a reason why I remind you to your mother.
Well, I think we're both stuck in these kind of paradigms. I think it's just and we should wrap it up too. But I think it's just an immature paradigm. It's just hasn't healed. It hasn't grown. It hasn't formed into. It's very significant that you talk about the parental thing, because it's like two children kind of forming an adult bond. And so, as opposed to taking on the responsibilities of ownership of our own wounds, we have the other person playing it out in this crazy, theatrical scenario where we hurt each other the way that we were hurt when we were little, and I think kind of a significant way through is the forgiveness of ourselves for having brought this in and just not knowing any other way, and the forgiveness of each other for, being who we are and not knowing better how to be with each other. We should wrap. All right. Thanks for listening to us. Bye.